My fear is, I think Donald Trump is not the right candidate for this group of voters. I think that this election is really having a negative effect, especially on the white working class, right? Because I think a lot of these grievances are legitimate, but what it's doing is it's giving people an excuse to point the finger at someone else. It's point the finger at Mexican immigrants or Chinese trade or the Democratic elites or whatever else.
So by now, you've almost most definitely heard the fact that J.D. Vance from Ohio has been selected as Donald Trump's running mate for vice president for the 2024 election. A job I certainly would not want, considering he encouraged the hanging of his last vice president. But I suppose J.D. Vance is just willing to take that risk. He's going to risk it for the biscuit. He wants the power and he wants the money. What's so ironic is just a few years ago, he was saying stuff like this.
But at the same time, fundamentally what's going on and what Donald Trump has done is change the focus of the white working class from a sort of engaged and constructive politics to a politics of pointing the finger. I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Good to know he's always been focused on the white working class. But regardless, he had no love lost for Trump. He actively hated and despised Trump and mentioned that Trump disgusted him and he would rather vote third party than have to vote for Trump. Even going so far as to say that if you voted for Trump, you were an idiot and that he was America's Hitler.
This is an evolution, and I know you've been asked about this before, about past comments that you've made about Donald Trump. You've said, I'm a never Trump guy, never liked him. Terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
But oh, how your tune can change once you realize there's an opportunity for power, for people to vote for you if you're Donald Trump's running mate, for money. But based on that laundry list of previous insults that J.D. Vance had slapped onto Donald Trump, it feels like back then Donald Trump was his crush that wouldn't return his text. And he was like, whatever, I don't need him. And now Donald Trump wants to get back together. And so now, no, I never met any of those things. We're so in love. He's like that girl in high school who keeps casually mentioning all the horrible, violent things her boyfriend is doing. But he's so damaged and he's so hurt. And despite everyone telling her she needs to either go to therapy or leave him, she just simply won't do it. No, but when it's good, it's really good. But despite all of the horrible things that he has said about Trump in the past, it does not surprise me that this has been the selection, considering J.D. Vance is one of the biggest grifters I have ever seen. And it's a tough competition. It's not an easy race to win. Yet he's up there in the top grifters, right? And he has done some evil, messed up things for money in the past, just like Donald Trump.
You know what I haven't done? I didn't start a fake nonprofit pretending like I was going to help people with addiction like J.D. Vance did. Literally started a nonprofit and didn't spend one nickel on anybody. In fact, he brought in somebody from Purdue Pharma to be the spokesperson for the nonprofit. The same drug company, Big Pharma, the big drug company that had all the pill mills going, got everybody addicted. 1 million people died, JD. 1 million people died. And you started a nonprofit to try to take advantage of people in Ohio. And you know what? All you did with it was launch your political career.
Yeah. He started a nonprofit to help with the opioid crisis in Ohio and used all of that money to launch his run for Senate. And another layer to make it extra gross, his mom struggled with addiction. So he clearly really, really cares, and it's very near and dear to his heart. And for someone who likes to talk about the working class, and he likes to relate to the everyday worker, you know, the top job title of the people who donated to his campaign was CEO. And he also received the highest individual-to-individual campaign donation in history, $15 million. But just like Donald Trump, he purports to love the working class while simultaneously doing things that actively harm the working class. So they really are birds of a feather. And so much for the point he made a few years ago about worrying that Donald Trump was teaching the white working class just how to point the finger at somebody else for their problems. Considering he has now changed his tune to supporting and thanking the founders of Project 2025.
And I want to thank especially Kevin Roberts and all of the Heritage Foundation for 50 years of incredible work on conservative policy.
Ah, yes. Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation that aims to get rid of anyone and anything that isn't a white, cishet, male Christian. Looks like J.D. Vance is no longer opposed to pointing fingers at everyone else. He's also conveniently the biggest yes man that Trump could find. You know how Pence didn't agree with the insurrection and then they tried to hang him, and then he ended up not agreeing with Trump that the election was stolen, which makes a lot of sense because the insurrection was literally one of the craziest things to ever happen? Well, it seems like J.D. Vance would have handled that situation a little bit differently than Mike Pence did.
I'm not the least bit incurious. In fact, you laid out a litany there, but you didn't answer the question I asked. Would you have certified the election results had you been vice president?
If I had been vice president, I would have told the states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and so many others that we needed to have multiple slates of electors, and I think the U.S. Congress should have fought over it from there. That is the legitimate way to deal with an election that a lot of folks, including me, think had a lot of problems in 2020. I think that's what we should have done.
So it's very clear you would have done what Donald Trump asked you to do there, not what Vice President Mike Pence did.
If Donald Trump asked you to jump off a bridge, would you? Oh, he already jumped. Also, political violence is fine as long as it's, you know, coming from my people doing what I want. And as long as Trump said that that was okay, as long as he says it's okay, then it's fine. But not the most recent one. You know, the one that just happened over the weekend, the one at the Trump rally. That was apparently Biden's fault. Vance tweeted out that the rhetoric that Biden has been spreading about Trump directly led to this alleged attempted assassination. Boldly tweeting before we knew anything about the shooter, who turned out to be a registered Republican. But he's fallen into the trap that so many have fallen into, where they just spout the things they think Trump would want them to say on social media in order to get his love. Trump selected Vance because he's weak. He's weak-willed, and he's a skilled grifter. Those are the two biggest qualities that someone like Trump would look for in a running mate, and he found them in J.D. Vance. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out some of my content that isn't news related, you can check out my personal YouTube channel at Bad Gamer Wyatt. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.